Hello again, my friends. This is Boy and His Dog, and welcome to the channel where I talk about play, rank and review games on the Evercade old and new. In today's episode, we take our first look at the Llamasoft console collection for the Evercade, and I have to apologise for the lateness of this video. It was the blooming editing. There are a staggering 27 titles on this collection. If I showed a couple of minutes of each game, this video would be too long. Even a minute per game is stretching it, so in the end I had to settle for just under a minute. And the other thing to think about when looking through this cart, it's like a psychedelic trip. You don't need drugs, you'll feel like you're on them. It can become a bit much for the eyes after extensive periods of dipping through, and certainly people with epilepsy should be a bit wary, but that is in no way a complaint from someone like me who doesn't have that. Just that you may need a couple of ibuprofen after a heavy session. Please note, where there are two versions of the same game, I'll only talk about the game as a whole and not go into the two different parts that much. Remember, as always, this isn't my final review of this cart or the games, only my initial thoughts when first playing each title. Right, we've got a lot to get through and not a lot of time to talk about each title, so deep breaths, let's get stuck in. And first up we have Abductor. This is basically Defender, but kind of mixed with Galaxy and Galaga, single screen alien waves, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of dig it. Simple to pick up and play, there's nothing too spectacular here, except it does feel like a very unique idea, and an enjoyable one at that. And next up, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Ancipital, I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a fantastic little game. Each room has its own kind of challenge you can find out by pressing start on the screen. You can jump, and once you're in the centre, if you time it right, you can move to any of the walls or ceiling, so you're standing upside down or standing sideways on either side. Clear the room and gateways will open and then activate. Jump into the yellow gate and you'll move to the next room and start the next challenge. There are also keys to collect. In the time I had, I did end up struggling with the blooming guinea pig stage, but overall a lot of fun and really interesting take. And next up is Andy's Attack. This, much like Abductor, is based on Defender, but unlike Abductor, doesn't add anything interesting, and the noise is a bit annoying if I'm honest. It's very basic, not to say you can't have fun, just it's less unique all round really. But visually his work is always unique, isn't it? At least compared to others. But this is more like your run-of-the-mill, I'd say. And next up is Attack of the Mutant Camels, which I'm very shit at, as you will see in the video. I thought I'd put on a better bit than this, but never mind. It's attacking the AT-ATs, but they've been replaced with camels, and why the hell not? A simple game that I had a bit of fun with. We will be seeing a lot of mutant camels going forward. Llamasoft loves its animals, but I think it loves its camels the most. And next up is Battlex. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's an interesting title as it's made up of a group of smaller titles, like mini games you can jump back and forward from. There's what will become very recognisable, shooting camels, or later, shooting as camels. There's one, which I haven't got a clue about, if I'm honest. One similar in control to Ancipital, if that's how you pronounce it, as in you can jump to the top of the screen and shoot upside down. And there's some cool image creator thingy. Is it like those early music video creators? It reminded me of that anyway. And next we have City Bomb. This is basically Canyon Bomber, but actually rather more interesting than Canyon Bomber. Each sweep from left to right, you're a bit closer to the ground, making it important to destroy the largest skyscrapers first, or you will smash into them. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same game, but because of that, this game feels infinitely more fun, and there's actually a bit of challenge to it. And next up we have Deflex V. Probably one of the most basic and earliest games here. You put down reflectors and bounce the ball around to the next number. Each time you bounce off a reflector, it changes its angle. It can get a bit bonkers when you have loads on screen, which you'll see here, because I didn't think about them turning around. I just kept dropping them. And if you put too many down, you get told off, which, here we go, excess bat misery. It's alright. It's just simple. It's a good game for the pocket. If your eyes can see that small. And next up is Grid Runner. This is Llamasoft's take on Centipede. Trying to remember those two laser beams shooting, moving along the side and bottom is the trick. I always get caught up, and when I die is the moment I remember that they exist. I enjoyed both variations of this game, but I think probably the B version a little bit more. It's just a bit easier to control, and I kind of like the more simpler look, I think. Oh my god, this game. Next up we have Hellgate, controlling 4 turrets at once. Defo confused my mind. My reactions are what they were, and trying to get the right signal to my hand for what I wanted is definitely a thing I need to get to grips with for a title like this. I'm sure with a little patience... Oh, who am I trying to kid? But I'll keep trying nonetheless. But oh my god, this... Yeah, it was a bit much for my brain, if I'm honest. And next up we have Hover Bobber. It's one of those simple ideas where you've got to cover that screen, changing the colour on all the areas you can reach. Except here it's imaginatively mowing the lawn, and it's harder to avoid the flower beds than you would think. You also got a dog running about, another dodgy dude to avoid, and an irate owner if you mess up, which I do a lot because I kept getting the turnings wrong. It's okay and a bit of variety compared to a lot of the other games in this collection. And next up is Laser Zone. So just like Hellgate, but you're only controlling 2 turrets at once this time, and the enemies in the middle aren't quite so insane. One you move left and right, the other you move up and down. I found the B version a bit easier and more fun than the A version. You've got to try and stop them landing at the base, because otherwise you can't get them. Otherwise they're basically the same games, and this doesn't screw with your mind quite as much as Hellgate does, because as I have said numerous times, that really screwed with my mind. Oh, we're finally here. Llamatron at a 2112. Oh, I'm not even going to wait until review. This is and will always be my favourite game from Llamasoft. To say I was addicted to this on the Amiga would be a huge understatement. I wish dual stick games were compatible with analog stick controllers, when you got 2, so we could use the second analog for shooting. But that aside, this is as mad and fun as I remember, and I'm happy to have this cart just to get this game back in my collection, if I'm honest, and especially on the Evercade. And next is Matrix Grid Runner 2. Look, there's not much difference from the first Grid Runner, to be fair, but I enjoyed them, so unsurprisingly I enjoyed this too. But apart from that, it's basically the same game, got a few knobs on that I've noticed. And again, weirdly, I think I prefer the B one. Right, this should win the award for best title of a game ever, I think. So it's a metagalactic llamas battle at the edge of time, and why not? So this is quite a cool design, I thought. Actually, you can only shoot diagonally, but your laser does ricochet off walls and the ceiling. You have to try and get the spiders, but not the lines they come down on. If you get their lines, they come to the ground and are hard to hit. You can get a bit mad when you're trying to avoid loads. Thankfully, the screen does wrap around, so you can last longer than you think, and a well-timed shot can get rid of those pesky floor creepers. But it is a fiddle. But yeah, I was kind of addicted to this, I won't lie. And then we have Ratman. This is frustratingly slow. It's an okay idea, but with the huge amount of games at the moment, it just feels like filler. Again, it's an earlier title, and you can tell. So it's cool to see for the history, but some of the games you don't just mind having a go and moving on. You know what I mean? And this is probably one of them for me. I mean, I'll probably have a couple of goes. It'll probably be alright in the alpha, actually, in a weird way. Some of the more basic ones are, but yeah. And next up is Revenge of the Mutant Camels. In this, you are the mutant camel. There's lots to shoot coming down from above and all sides. As you continue to the right, the game will tell you how many kilometres are left to the end of the stage at the far top right. The big game is interesting as you have a friend that runs around and shoots, but if you let your camel rest, he'll climb on top and ride you, adding extra firepower to you. It's quite a cool little addition. This game's basic looking, it's bonkers, but I love it. And then we have Revenge of the Mutant Camels 2, which is more like the A game from before. So much like Revenge of the Mutant Camels, it just feels more basic after playing the B versions. You can't have anyone climbing on your back or anything like that. It's all basically the same madness though. Move to the right until you reach the level goal, shooting everything in sight, and there's not as many pickups in this one though. That last one is a bit insane for pickups. And then we have Sheep in Space, which is just another cool name, innit, really? I will admit, I wasn't sure what the hell I was doing when I first turned this on. I thought it was another sort of Defender type game. But I was just killing things. There's not much more to say about that in the time I had. I know you can drop down on grassy bits and eat to get your health up. But yeah, apart from that, there you go, there's a grassy bit you can land on. But I didn't. And next up we have Super Grid Runner. Again, another version of the centipede formula, but this time there's like a shield thing in the middle. If you shoot through it, it powers your shots up considerably. It shows you also what bonuses you have at the bottom too, which is a neat touch. I quite like the design of this. But yeah, kind of more of the same, but as I quite like a lot of them on here, I don't mind. But what one you'll stick with though the most, that's the big question, isn't it, really? And then we have Super Deflex. It's basically exactly the same as Deflex V. Not much more to say about it than that, really. It's super basic, but then super cool idea, trying to get to the next number in as few moves as possible. Again, this will kind of work better, I think, on the pockets and that, but it's very small and there's not much detail. But it's kind of addictive in a weird way, you know what I'm saying? And finally we have Void Runner. It's another cool shooter. Lots going on. Don't know the ins and outs of this title just yet. I'll need more time. But it has a funky look to it and appears to be easy to pick up unless I'm doing it completely wrong. And so my overall initial thoughts of the cart. There is so much here, but it's all very much connected. I would say that this is one of those times we're changing it from alphabetically to release order. When going through actually makes a lot of sense, as you can see the progress and evolution of his work, and it all kind of fits and becomes even more interesting. Obviously, I'm sure many of you have the Gold series by Digital Eclipse, and their Llamasoft collection is dense with my favourite feature any game series has ever done, and that's the timeline where you go through and see all the behind the scenes and come to each game when it was released in the correct order. It's like the most perfect interactive documentary come museum. Evercade can't do that, but they preserve games in their own way, and I love both companies for what they do. I think both collections make perfect companion pieces. I love having all the behind the scenes stuff, but I also love having the games all on a cart. I can move between different machines. Some of these games fit better on the XP, some fit better on the Alpha, and some you just got to put on the big screen and melt your brain with the VS. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the final review for this cart, if I can even rank these games. Maybe I'll do a general overview and then maybe list my top 10 games. Not sure, we'll have to wait and see on that. And so my friends, did you grab this collection? If so, what are your initial thoughts? As usual, let me know in the comments below. And if you made it here to the end of the episode, thanks ever so much for joining me. Leave a thumbs up or comment if you like. But you know what? I'm just chuffed you poked your head in for a goosey gander. As always, I hope the day is as awesome as you are, my friends. And until next time, be seeing it.